You stop doing what you've been doing. Well, we just saw a piece in the news about a young man, H, what's his name? AJ, CJ? Brandy's brother says the doctor told him he's got 3 months to live. That's bad news. But he said 3 months to live, unless you stop drinking. Wow, can I stop drinking? You mean if I stop drinking, I got a shot at living longer? Well, if you don't stop drinking, you definitely are not going to probably make it past 3-4 months. That's bad news. But inside of the bad news is good news. Kids in school. Oh, we got this big Friday. Bad news. I don't want. Oh man, Friday's 6 days away. You can study. Oh, house note is due. Well, we've been knowing that for a while. Let's put the money together. Oh, you don't have the money? Better call somebody. I'd say call a mortgage company. Tell them something. The thing that we do with bad news, we tend to let it marinate like it's a good piece of barbecue or something. It's not. Bad news is something to be acted upon. And that's why I feel pretty doggone good about our politics right now. Because we've got access to much bad news. We've got a president that doesn't want to be presidential. Matter of fact, he demonstrated something that we've all known for a long time. I mean, for a long time. I mean, anybody's ever had any doubts that there was deep-rooted racist bubblings going on in the mind of President Donald Trump. If you had any doubt about it, what we saw take place this week with his little, well, I'm just tweeting and passing stuff on, and I didn't really read it. Come on. So his insult to President Obama and Michelle, what's more insulting? The idea that he would make his racist remarks, call them out of their name, out of their species, or the fact that we already knew he would do that. You know, what's worse, that he did it, or that we knew he was going to do it and he did it anyway, and we were standing around waiting for it as if, I mean, there's black people who defend Donald Trump as if, you know, they really think that he's good for the economy. I don't know how he's good for the economy. You got more people out of work now than ever. He made sure of that by firing 500,000 people that had them good government jobs. He already told you that he doesn't care if you're hungry. You know, he's taken SNAP away from people who cannot afford to have food purchased on their own money. You know, we as society have squeezed them so hard that, you know, they need support, they need help. And we're in a position to help. How do you know? Well, we're spending billions of dollars every time we shoot a rocket in the air. Nothing wrong with shooting rockets in the air. The thing that's wrong is we keep pretending we don't have enough money to feed people. Pretending that we don't have enough money to feed people. Now, that part there is the bad news, but the good news is we know we're pretending. We can feed people. People do not have to, not in America, but we got some people that say, well, no, instead of making the rest of the world like America, where we feed people, where we take care of those who are without, where we do things that make it feasible for the weak to become strong, for the unbalanced to get on balance, and for those who are in such a deep survival syndrome that they can't contribute because all they're trying to do is survive. If we help them survive, then they can contribute. Anyway, that's the good news. The good news is we don't have to be stupid. We do not have to be stupid. We have a Black History Month. Why do we have Black History Month? Why do we keep reminding people of the evils of our historical past? Mainly so that we can show them the promise of what happens when we cooperate, when we stop being the devil's advocate, when we stop being the devil's shadow, when we stop being the devil. Huh? You talk about the devil is when you go to hell. No, the devil is how you act on earth. What do you do to other people? How do you justify? Oh, you justify it by calling them names that they're not. I know, let's do this. Let's call them aliens. Well, you know, when you were enslaving black folks, you called them slaves, you called them monkeys, you called them everything but people. Oh, so let's do the same thing with the other non-white people that are trying to come into America. Or even the ones that are white. We know we treated those Irish people pretty rough, boy. Treated the Italian people really, really, really rough, man. The Polish people, boy, I mean, they treated Europeans kind of nasty. Of course, they didn't enslave them like they did black folk. But they made it rough, and we have a tendency to do that. But the good news is we don't have to do that. How can we take and say that it's un-American for a young man who grew up in America's #1 colony, Puerto Rico? Beautiful place. Wonderful place. But we don't want to call it America, because if we call it America, that'd probably be, you know, a bunch of brown people who may decide that maybe they don't like the racisms that take place, or maybe they'll remember the racism that takes place as a colony, and maybe if we made them a state, they'd take away some white privilege or something like that. Well, I'll tell you what, some of the white privilege needs to be renegotiated, and it doesn't need to be renegotiated based on tearing other people down. It just simply needs to be renegotiated in terms of, hey, there's other people here, we work together, everybody can rise with the rising tide. But we don't always do it that way. But the point again is that all we have to do is change our attitude, change the little way we're looking at things, and things can get way better. We have to become solutionary. So the idea with Black history is that we've done this before. We've taken people that are God's gift, and we've misused them, abused them, confused them. And now, instead of just doing it to enslave people, which I guess economically was not a smart thing for America to do, so, well, let's just bring some people in, let them come in, work them half to death, and don't give them the privileges of citizenship, and, you know, kind of keep them marginalized so that when we need somebody that we don't want to pay as much as we should pay, we'll just pay these people a little bit. And, you know, we'll promise that maybe they can become, maybe, if they comb their hair right and pull their pants the way we want them to, and get rid of those accents, maybe they could become white in their minds at least. And if we keep them thinking that they're going to be white and turn them against the other folks inside of their culture and community that are happy and satisfied and elated with who they are, we can create division. And there was a time, because of how white people have been able to model themselves as the group. Now, during Black History Month, I have to tell this, black folks, I guess you should get ready to get ashamed and make you ashamed of ourselves here a little bit. We had something that we call the brown bag test. The brown bag, the little brown bag, the brown bag's got a certain color to it. Not dark brown, not super white, but light brown. If you want to come to the bougie parties in the black community, if you wanted to get along with folks who were doing well, folks who were, as we classify, the inside folk, the house slave, light skin. So they divided black folks by saying, well, you're going to be white, he's right. If you're brown, you stick around. If you're black, you got to get back. So we set this little standard where the closer to white you are, the better your opportunity for getting things done. Now, when things cause you favor, add flavor to your life, you tend to want to go in that direction. So when the white man promises you that you may be able to be treated like white, which is right, maybe you do deny who you are and what you... And they give you some money, boy, they really figure you're supposed to come their direction. So what happens when you get the money and you still don't acquiesce and you become bad bunny? Let this guy, we let this guy. Well, let this guy become the number one, and he's still singing in Spanish. He had to acquiesce. He's not doing it in English, and he's un-American. This guy's more, he's more American than 90% of the Americans. Why? Because he has suffered and he has achieved. Most Americans just kind of suffer. We get better, but we don't achieve. This guy comes out of nowhere to become someone doing something that he focused on, and he kept inside of his identity with some kind of pride of who he is, which is not easy in Puerto Rico when everybody's telling you the whiter you get, the better chances are that you're going to succeed. When they tell you that the whole island that you live on, as beautiful as it is, the American policy is not going to let it prosper. You've got an island out there that is in a perfect place to do trade, to import things for America, to be the lead pin into South America. But no, we treat them because I know people who love their stepchildren, who they don't even call them stepchildren. They're just, so I can't even say we treat them like a stepchild. We treat them like a slave, like an immigrant base, like non-American. But we won't let them be free to be who they could be. But we hold them under because of, why? Well, it has to do with our national security. Well, what about their national security? Well, they're brown people, hell, come on, folk. Puerto Rico is America. Bad Bunny is American, and he is a tremendous example of, go finding some boots, putting them on, and then pulling yourself up by the bootstrap. He is, I can't think of anybody that I know that's not Puerto Rican that could be more proud of him than I am. And I'm not even concerned that I can't speak Spanish, because good music I mean, what language is Anthony speaking right now as he plays the bass? He's speaking the music language. Bad Bunny speaks music. Tell me what James Brown meant when he says,
Background power.
yeah, ooh, ah. What is all of that? You don't know, but you dance to it, you move to it, you thrill to it. So, our good news is simply waiting for us to get a new look, a new attitude, and we're gonna, make these things happen right. So, we've got so much good news in front of us that's faking to pretend that it's bad news. I tell you, I can't wait for. Well, I can wait because I have to wait for the halftime show, and alternative halftime shows have taken place before. You know, I remember watching the kids in the yard for one halftime because we had a nice little trampoline and things set up for the kids, and instead of staying inside to watch the TV halftime show, we went outside and had a halftime show with the kids. Everybody's entitled to how they want to spend their halftime. I'm going to spend mine chasing this wild rabbit. Oh, I'm sorry, wild rabbit. I mean Bad Bunny. Same thing. I don't know what you guys are naming me, but it's a good thing. We're going to take a short break. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. And when we come back, I believe we had a phone call. I'm not sure. No. Okay, we'll be right back, and we'll continue to exemplify the great news that's hiding behind the bad news. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about these ICE people and how the bad news of ICE is really the good news of who we are and what we can do about it. And I'm kind of glad the government's not going to investigate them, because that leaves us the opportunity to do it ourselves. We'll be right back.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
See what happens when you try to be on time and early.
All right, we're back here. There we go. Let's hear that. Let's hear that music. Let me hear you, Anthony. Do it. Come on, Anthony. Roll it out there, brother. That's what I'm talking about. Make me feel like dancing. My daughter Missy said, as long as it don't make you feel like singing, Daddy, we're going to be all right. Is Missy available? Mishua, how are you?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good
morning.
afternoon.
It is a good morning. If you
everywhere
look up,
in between.
if you see the screen, you'll see I'm holding up this Black History book that your
Yeah, my
grandmother wrote.
best friend. Look at my best friend.
Ruthie's Jewels. It's a book that was written by Ruth Stevens, happens to be my mother, some years ago, about 5 years ago. She is now 99. She was born in Mississippi. I started to say Macomb, Mississippi, but I don't know if she was born in the city of Macomb, because we lived about, 7 miles, 8 miles out of Macomb. About the last 3-4 miles of that is total dirt road. Route 2, Box 40. Country girl. On the farm. They had a farm, grew food, cotton, chickens. I had about 1 million chickens. Well, I couldn't say that now, because truth is some people do have millions of chickens. Seemed like millions of chickens when I was a kid walking around in the back portion of the house there, the backyard. But Mom wrote her book. She has many chapters that depict bad news and good news. The bad news of the circumstance, the good news of how to deal with it. The book is called Ruthie's Jewels. It is available on Amazon. I would love for you to be able to share with me some of the stories, things that she talks about, and we'll do that at some point. But I want to remind you that you can get this history book. Actually, it's a herstory book by Ruth Stevens called Ruthie's Jewels on Amazon. Mishua,
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to discuss when is bad news good news. Has that inspired any thoughts on your part at this point?
Well, it's actually very timely because what we discussed this morning in church is actually that if we treat bad news like it's good information, then our whole perspective can shift because no news, mom used to say no news is good news. But, you know, I don't agree with that because I need the information.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is just like you said when you were talking about Ray J. It could be bad news, but it's good information. And so, in fact, bad news can be good news if you treat it like good information. So, in other words, we saw some things this week that were not surprising to many people, but it's good information.
Right.
It's good information. It's, it's good to know that not only is this the way you think, but that you have so little respect for the intelligence of the American people that you don't care what we think about what you think. So that's good information.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. It's good. It's good to know that the person driving the car is blind.
Very much so. Very, very, very much so. Because that also means that he won't see me coming when I take the wheel.
Well, it also means that as soon as I convince him that there's a stop sign in front of him, I can get out of the car, or we can take over the car, and
Yeah.
that's the issue.
Hmm.
Mishua, we have seen on TV recently, and we. I want to go back to the first impact video that described police conduct and soured people's attitudes on it. And it goes back to Birmingham. It goes back to when Martin and the thousands of black folk who were fighting for recognition for basic citizen rights were marching, and Bull Connor turned the dogs loose. They had been doing that before, but this time they did it with TV cameras around. And that changed America. Well, it changed America's attitude. I got a new attitude overnight. It didn't change how America did things overnight, but it opened up a door so that the bad news now had a chance to become good news. Because the more people saw it, the more people were able to respond to that information and allow others that wanted to do something about it to become a group that they would join, or a group at the very least that they would no longer fight against.
Well, the information forced you to take a position.
Take a position.
The information forces you to take a position. So what happens is it's one thing for you to silently agree with things that are going on. It's one thing for you to silently agree. It becomes a whole nother thing when it's a conversation in your office or a conversation in your church or a conversation, at your school. Because now, all of a sudden, people have gotten this new information. They've seen what happened. And so now it's a conversation. And the conversation requires that you take a position because people whose respect you want, or at least whose good opinion you need, or whose goodwill you need, are now putting you on Front Street and saying, what is your position on what we've all just seen? So that
Sure.
can't be a bad thing.
No, it makes you. It's
It's
time.
important for me to know the position of the people around me so that I know how to move.
Well, for those people who had any doubt about Mr. Trump's racist tendencies, he has pressed the card one more time to let you know that and there's some folks that still confused. I'll have to say, well, he was nice to Nicki Minaj. he I don't know what
Well,
he
I
gave
think
her. He gave her, but for her to get her citizenship card, I ain't mad at her.
get
I'm
her
not mad at her. I mean, I
get her
wasn't buying the
registered
records in the
sex
first.
offended relatives out of jail.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
again, we
yeah,
spend a lot of time talking about the things that honestly are still distractions. They
yeah.
might sound like fun conversations, but I don't know if maybe we talk about them because the other things, the real things that are the problem, we are not quite sure what to do about. So we avoid talking about those because to me, Trump is evidence of a problem. But my biggest revelation about what he did is the position that other people around him continue to take about this.
Yeah, yeah, he
And
helps
I think
identify
that's
the.
what he helps to identify the position of some people that we do have the authority and the ability to do something about.
Right.
And
Now,
that's what we need to keep paying attention to.
one of those things that we've got something that we can do about is, I think, ICE. With the shooting of, as I was going to go back, I pointed out the dogs and the importance of the video back in Birmingham, and of
Mhm.
course Rodney King, and then the litany of other murders and killings that police have done in front of cameras. Uh, the camera work, however, that we've recently seen in Minneapolis puts us in a different situation in that we've got obvious evidence and we have a government that says, well, we're not going to investigate. I don't really need them to investigate. What I need now is a national town hall where the people, the news agencies, Ben Crump just comes and makes this presentation to the people. The people across the country are the jury. We don't need to have 12 people sitting up somewhere. We don't need to have any Trump appointed judge or even a Biden appointed judge. Let's appoint our own judge. We could we could have a traveling show with this deal. What do you think? We could have 1,000 different juries. Every city could be a jury. But I'll bet you that by the time these juries accumulated the time and information to make their vote, that we would find enough people guilty. And I don't. And I'm like you, Mishwa. I don't find the guilt in the person who follows the orders. I want to follow the orders back up to who gave them, and let's let those people assume the guilt. I'm a little tired of letting the little guy take the blame for the fact that somebody's standing over him, threatening his job, threatening his life, supply of oxygen and happiness, with the fact that they've got some authority over them. I'm the sergeant and you're the corporal, so you gotta do what I say do. I'm the president and you're the voter. You gotta do it. Whoa, wait, whoa. The president telling the voter what to do? Well, wait a minute. Maybe let me get a couple more voters. Let me pull Anthony in and Okay, now we got 2 voters and 1 worker called him president. Now I should be able to tell him what to do. Well, no. You forgot the president's got a couple. He's only one president, but he does have he is the commander in chief of the military. Oh my God, I forgot about those guys. And they can knock on my door in the middle of the night with or without a mask and do whatever they want to and explain it later on if they decide to do so. How did I let this guy get in charge? Oh, well, we can do something about it. Whoa, wait a minute, Wallace. You mean, what can we do about this? Well, for one thing, we got to keep paying attention to the bad information, bad news, good information. And we got to remember that there's something that this guy keeps telling us that he's afraid to have happen. Elections. In America, we got a guy that's president that's afraid of elections. My goodness. How does that happen? How can a guy who got elected twice, and I admit he got elected twice,
Well,
doesn't like elections?
but he's afraid of midterm elections, and we need to pay attention to why he's afraid of the midterm elections, because he's technically not up for election this year. However, and this is the important part, we need to pay attention to the behavior of the Congress that is up for election this year, because he's only afraid of this election because of the possibility of what we the people may do about the people that are supporting him in Congress. So
That
I
we
know
the
this
people,
week,
we the
I
people
know
can
this
do?
week, yes, and I know that this
Right.
week, there were a lot of other things to look at. But I think it's also important to go back to the fact that when the heat was really on ice, no pun intended, the
Well,
Senate, the Senate actually on January 29th voted down the bill to continue to fund ICE without any restrictions because the heat was on.
and it's still on.
So yeah, but the problem is the heat is on, but are we watching the stove? Because on February 3rd, the House passed the law. So it's going back to the Senate by February 13th.
Yes.
So if we make sure we watch the stove between now and February 13th, we cannot stop watching the stove in order to pay attention to videos and Nicki Minaj and all these other things. Because if we take our eye off the stove, then he doesn't have to be so afraid of the election. So that's why every now and then, just like there was a mobster, I don't remember his name, but there was a mobster who pretended to be crazy so that they would not arrest him, because he just walked around pretending he was insane. And whenever they were listening in on his phone calls and everything, he would just say some stuff that was so crazy that they figured there's no point, because if we bring him in to testify, they're just gonna say he's not in his right mind.
Yeah, nobody believe him anyway.
Yeah. So and in Jamaica they have a thing where they say play fool to catch wise. So in other words, play dumb so that the smart ones don't see you coming. And so I again just say, yeah, he said some stuff, and yeah, they've all gone overboard now. But bear in mind that the same time this is happening, that this week coming, they're supposed to go ahead and finally have Ghislaine Maxwell testify in front of Congress and be questioned about the Epstein files. They have Bill and Hillary Clinton who are calling for a public hearing instead of the private filming of their testimony about the Epstein files. And as I said, there are congressional votes coming up about ICE. So
let me on this one point. Of all of these so-called people who want to have public, I'll have this hearing, but I want it to be in public. Why? You don't have to wait for the Congress to come and investigate you, Bill.
Well, no. This is why they want to make it
Let me
public.
say this, because I heard Bill earlier say, anything that you guys got about me in the Epstein that being his presentation, and I believe it, I think everybody who thinks their names is in Epstein's file should go in and have their own testimony.
Yeah.
And I think that we as the general public should be willing to fund the lawsuits that the victims should be presenting against the so-called the pedophiles who perpetuated this deal. These young ladies were young at the time and didn't understand who these men were, maybe. But I think at this point, they probably have some idea of who these men were. Possibly, probably, how could they not? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they know the names, I'm saying I don't need to see them in the Epstein files. I need to see them on a court docket. Let's sue these sons of gooby wops. They don't deserve any protection. And if you name them and their name is in the Epstein files, the public is generally going to be on your side. Well, there's probably some innocent folk. I'm sorry, ain't nothing innocent about somebody watching somebody else be a pedophile.
Yeah.
And if you were there at the party and there was no pedophilia going on, then, you can explain that.
Well,
yeah, I had some bad choices.
Becomes,
I was hanging around. I didn't know that it was going on, and I only went to 15 of the parties. Well, maybe 2 of them I knew stuff was going on, but okay, fine. Then you need to pay into this defense fund, and pay your way out of what you did wrong or supported that was wrong. But these victims need to be able to tell their story, and if the victims want to wait until the victimizers have changed their mind, tell you from a black man's perspective, it ain't gonna happen. You better call them to the table and have their names and the pictures ready to talk about them, because they're not going to confess. Oh, they may cry and whine and say you're making them feel bad, but they're not going to confess. Look at this guy from England, the royalty guy. He's got pictures. They got pictures of him with the girl and the whole deal. He's still denying it.
But she filed a lawsuit, and that is part of how it came to light. I think that for some of them, there have been issues about statutes of civil limitation, different things, but one of the main things.
Come public with us. I ain't no statute of limitations on pedophilia as far as we in the public are concerned. And if they're going to sue you back, then fine. Let's pay for that part too, but let's make them do the perp walk.
Yeah, well, this is the other thing I was going to say.
I mean, that's the one thing.
After 2008, when he was a registered sex offender, anyone who hung out with him has no excuse. It doesn't matter. If after 2008, when he was a registered sex offender, whether you witnessed him doing anything or not, after he pled guilty and got an unprecedented plea deal.
See how you figured that out?
Yeah.
All we had to do is point out the problem and look at the good news you were able to pull out of
But that has been the conversation.
Well, that's a conversation, but it hasn't been an actualization of lawsuits put forth. There hasn't been a formation of a group that says, you ladies sue and we got your back. I see, I stay up late at night, and I see that we've got funds to feed the dogs, to save the wolves. I mean, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with these things, except that as I look at these ads on TV where these people say, save an animal. They don't say what kind of animal. Human beings are animals. Maybe I'm saving him. Tell me I'm saving a kangaroo. Tell me I'm saving a moth, a sloth, or something. A werewolf, a whale. No, you're saving animals. So let's save people. I'm not, I'm with the dog. I love my dog Spot, but he don't sleep in the bed with me. Okay, and there is a hierarchy here. I feed Spot. He doesn't feed me. My point is that with a new attitude, a new little view, we can change things here. We don't need to wait for the government to investigate ICE. We simply need to be meeting on them burning candles on them, praying for the right thing and asking God to do something about the wrong thing. Now, it wouldn't be the first time that we came together and prayed to have the devil taken away. Let's, step up. Don't be afraid to do that part. Not at all.
Well, I think that's the whole thing is you have to step up sustainably. And I think that's the thing is, you got to keep showing up every day. And as I said a couple of times over the last couple of months, the chaos is designed to make us crazy. The chaos is designed to make you feel overwhelmed, make your nervous system be stretched so thin by all the noise that you just want to get away from it. So that's why there's this constant assault of information, bad news, crazy news. And it's a lot for any one person to process, even just as a viewer, much less as a victim.
Well, that's
So
simple.
that's why it is important for us to be able to get together and encourage one another to unpack it and then keep it moving. So to me, that's the whole purpose of saying, okay, this happened. Let's unpack this bad news,
Let's
get the right
un-
perspective on it so that we can keep moving and have it be good information. And that's why things like your show are important and other conversations are important. And we need to keep having them when we leave here. We need to have them amongst ourselves, with our children, with our friends, and let everybody state their position and then be able to keep it moving.
and unpack. Now, when we say unpack, that means clarify. Why are we going through this? Why does everybody tends to agree that there's confusion and chaos and distraction? But why? I'm gonna go back to January when he first came in, and I am not proud. I'm not happy to have been so accurate by saying that the whole issue of the confusion and chaos is because this guy wants to stay out of jail. Well, Wallace, that's kind of oversimplifying things. Except that that's the case. And he's saying it now. If the Democrats win the midterms, they are going to impeach me. That's what he says. And he knows it. He knows it better than the Democrats do. That if the Republicans had 5 smart people in the Senate and 5 smart Republicans in the House, they could do it now. They don't have to wait. They don't have to be running around afraid of what this guy is going to do to them. They can take him out of the box. And Vance is going to be easy to deal with soon as he sees Trump slapped around and dumped. Well, why would we do that? Because the guy is dangerous. He doesn't care about America. He's made that part clear. At the same time, he's made it clear that he does not want elections. He's made it very clear that he understands that the people that he wants to get even with are people that see him clearly, people that see that he is a mistake that can get worse. He's not just a cold. He is the flu. He is COVID. He is a heart attack. He is a stroke. He is the drop off the
He's
end
a
of the cliff.
plague. He's the plague.
He is the
He's the
plague
plague.
all by himself.
He's the plague.
But he's got plagueites running around behind him. Plagueites. Did I make that word up? I don't know. Check that out for me. But the point is that we see it, we know it, and since we see it and know it, it's good news because it tells us he's afraid of elections, which tells us that what we want to do is, I don't care what they say we got to do to be eligible to vote. Get ready, be that, do that. If they want identification, damn it, let's get identified right now. Let's not stand around talking about, well, you don't need, it's hard to get identification. Damn it, let's put identification cards in everybody's pocket now. We don't need to wait. We see that that's what they're going to do. We know it's illegal. We know it's un-American. But they want to make it un-American for you to be able to breathe. They want to make it un-American for you to not be Trumpite. They want to make it un-American for you to be anything other than somebody walking around with their lips pursed to find the right side of their butt to kiss. That's what they want. I want competition. I want people that want to play fair to make us get better. I remember growing up to play basketball. We went around looking for competition. What do we want? Willie Boy said, we want some comp. Kenny Howard said, we want some comp. Joe Daniels said, we want some comp. Moses said, we want some comp. I wasn't the best basketball player, but I had some good guys on the team, so I didn't mind having some comp either. Some competition. The best team win, and we prove it by taking if we came to your court and we won, we want your nets. We take your nets with us. But if you came to our place and won, you take our nets too. Oh, there were some people who wanted to fight, but that's
But
the way it be.
is competition the right word?
Competition is inspiration if it's done correctly. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
Competition does
because
not create a
yeah.
loser. It creates a person who did their best. I love track and field because you compete against yourself for the team, but you compete against, you can be last in a race in track and field and have done your best time, your human best.
So
So you won.
let's clarify then.
Yeah.
We want an equal playing field. That's what we want. We want an equal playing field. We don't want gerrymandering and trouble getting this and doing that. We want an equal playing field. But the other thing is that unlike a tournament or a sporting event, this is about a common goal. And if the goal is for us to be able to live a good life, educate our children, feed our families, get paid in accordance to how we work, and have access to health care and access to the quote unquote American dream, then it's not about trying to win an election in that way. That I think that's part of what got us here is this idea that there are Republicans who just wanted a Republican to win, whether they were qualified or not. That there were people who wanted someone who looked like them to win, whether he was qualified or not. So I think that's why I'm careful about the word competition. I get the context, I get what you're saying, but I think that what we really need to do is make it easy for people to want to back the right thing, and make it easy for people to want to have people be able to do the right thing. So I think the language does matter. And I think the same way that we want to say to not just Republicans, but there were those who were not Republicans who also supported this current administration, is give them room. You got to give them room to turn around, and you have to give them something to turn toward. Because for me, winning is having someone qualified who is a decent human being, who believes in the idea of an equal playing field, and who is not so desperate to serve himself and his family and stay out of prison, as you put, as you rightly said, and wants to come in and work to make this country better for the people of this country. That's the only win. Anything less than that is not a win. Period.
I enthusiastically agree. And I must note that there's a difference in the game of curling and the game of hockey. And if we know the rules as we go into the game, and the rules are not changed, I think that's as close to fair as we can expect to get. But changing the rules in the middle of the game or ignoring the rules. Now in America, no one is supposed to be above the law. In America, our court system is supposed to be able to give government agencies an order, and they follow it. Right now, our court system has ordered the Trump administration to do many things in terms of not deporting people and bringing people back who have been deported, and not acting out in certain kind of ways. And the Trump administration is ignoring them. We are in a situation where our Constitution is being challenged and being ignored. And we've got police that have been created by him that have no connection to any real policing except the fact that our Congress does have the ability to defund them. Now, one thing about Mr. Trump's charisma, it disappears when the paycheck goes away. He is not able to command our military or any of ICE or anyone else if he doesn't pay them. Now, that's one thing I don't think Americans who are working for ICE, who want to be big, bad, duty-wop guys, are willing to do it for free. So they're using our money to pay people to misuse our reputation, to misuse our goals, to misuse our mission. But the good news is all we got to do is stop them. And we can do that in the midterm elections.
And we can do it over the next 7 days by keeping the heat on the ones who right now are voting on whether or not to fund them again.
Call your representative. But more important, well, for you, Mishra, in Florida, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
We can pretty much depend on what's going on out here in California. But at the same time, depending on it doesn't stop the fact that we've got 4 or 5 Republican congressmen that could switch over. And we could do it all right here from California if we could get those guys to switch over.
Mm-hmm.
And you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So
and this has been,
I'm trying to clean up your backyard, I'm going to get out here and call my 5 representatives and call my friends that live in those representatives' areas and have them call. Because we can change this right now. We have that ability. I'm happy.
Exactly.
And I'm so happy that the big competition of the day, the big game, the one that the Wild Rabbit Bad Bunny's going to sing at the halftime. I don't really care who wins the game. When I say I don't care, I just want it to be a good game, a fair game, and not a game that's controversial because of referees.
But before we do that, can I do one more thing? You
got about 30 seconds.
Okay. So, immigrantjustice.org makes it very easy for you to contact your local congressman or senator about this vote. National Immigrant Justice Center. If you go to immigrantjustice.org, there is literally immigrantjustice.org, and you can literally fill out a form that connects you directly with the office of the correct.
Okay, shortest hour on radio, quickest hour. We're out of here.
Immigrantjustice.org.
Immigrantjustice.org. That's the last order of the day. Immigrantjustice.org.
And we'll put it up on the socials.
Immigrantjustice.org. 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 Immigrantjustice.org.
NBC News on